Good evening, RFHL fans. It is Monday evening. We are recording to the wire on the deadline for this week's podcast. I'm Ryan 2.0. I'm joined by George Donkey Coon and Ellen. Ellen, do you even have a nickname yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting. I can't make my own, so I'm waiting.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for you. Well, we've got Ellen, just Ellen, for now. Never just Ellen. But we've got Ellen and George this week. I'm excited for this week's podcast. I know we're recording it pretty late to the wire, so I'm going to start off by saying right out of the gate, my apologies to Pedar and Sweet, who are going to probably put this together quickly. I don't know if it's still going to go out Tuesday at 6:10, but maybe there'll be a slight delay. But the holiday weekend threw us all off. I think everybody was busy with family, and that's a good thing, right? So let me start off by asking about that. Ellen, how was your holiday weekend?
It was really nice. We had the family over and we had a fun Easter dinner and just the day at home, which we don't have a lot nowadays. It's so busy here. So it was a fun Easter for sure.
Everyone's going in their own directions and doing their own things, and getting together is always nice when you can finally make that happen. George, what about you? How'd you spend your weekend? Anything fun?
Yeah, same. It was good. I've got two little girls, 5 and 4, so they're in the thick of the Easter Bunny and hunting down eggs. So had a blast. I know you sent the invite over to try to do this at 12. I had some in-laws in town, so that actually would have worked out perfect, but couldn't swing it, so here I am.
Yeah. Well, and I think I put in the chat the other day something about supporting your local girl dad. So I like that we got the girl dad connection on the chat this week. We ended up doing some fun stuff too. We went over to my mom's house. We all kind of live in the area, nice and close, so that's always nice. And ended up playing. I know everybody likes yard games, right? So I gotta tell you, we discovered this new yard game, and I bought it called Bucket Golf. And it's these little collapsible buckets, and instead of hitting a golf ball, you hit a pickleball, and you just play with a normal golf club and play with normal golf rules, except you hole out by hitting the bucket or the flag with the ball. You don't have to get it in, but if you get it in, you take one stroke off of your score for that hole. So we had some pretty competitive bucket golf games going on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to playing more of that. So let me ask you this: what's your favorite summer? I know we're getting closer to warmer weather and everything like that. The gym's heating up at night. Every night seems like we're starting to get closer and closer to Tim complaining about getting his goalie timeouts on a weekly basis. But what's your favorite, George? What's your favorite yard game to play? Like your summer backyard yard game to play?
Yeah, I'm a big cornhole guy for sure.
Are you?
Yeah.
Classic.
It's there at all the parties.
That's a classic. I think everybody could be happy playing cornhole. Ellen, what's your favorite yard game to play?
I have to agree with George. I really like cornhole. I also love bocce.
Okay. Bocce is one of those games where I think people, when they play bocce, they just make stuff up. Like the rules, like there's a general concept that you have to be closest to the, what do they call it? Piccola.
Yeah,
the little ball.
Piccolo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's like that general sense, but then everything else is just whatever the rules. The rules are made up and the points don't matter. Kind of
the rules of the house, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So I'm surprised nobody said can jam.
Can jam's underrated. Yeah, I'll be there after I'm done with cornhole. I'll rotate between the two.
One. So real quick, last week, a lot of good matchups. I meant to actually pull up the scores for last week's matchups just to recap everything. But at least in terms of a brief recap for, I think, 6:30, that was the game I played in. And I don't know if anybody got to see it, but Charlie got to give my daughter a little shout out. She did an intermission interview. I was so proud of her. She was so excited. She kept saying, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be on TV. So I had to like point her at the camera and everything. And then of course she gets up there and Rob's asking her questions and she's just like, yes. Yeah. Like she got like instantly shy, but it was funny. And then I'm not going to lie. She spent the last like 4 or 5 days. She has literally told everybody and keeps making me pull up the YouTube video to show everybody her intermission interview.
Good
so
for her.
Highly recommend having George, if you ever get the kids out for a game or something like that, hey, just let broadcast team know. Highly recommend it. That was super fun. So I had to leave quick after last week's game for my own game, but I was able to enjoy a victory despite being gassed because we played Firestorms. We won against Tsunami 12-9, and we played with only 4, and so that was fun. Brian was on so I got to give Brian a quick shout out. He was on a cruise, but he was keeping tabs on the team chat, and the whole night we were talking about how each of us had to have like our own, because he told us he got the drink package. So we each had to give him a recommendation of what our drink list would be. And it was all over the place. So like I recommended a transfusion. Don't know if you know what a transfusion is, but it's like a golf drink. It's like grape juice and gin and lime and seltzer. And then somebody else recommended a Manhattan, and somebody else recommended a frozen, what was it? Frozen whiskey sour. And Brian did the whole list of those drinks throughout the day on game day, and was like reporting in and giving us like ratings on all our drinks. And so it was fun, but he was on a cruise while the rest of us were sweating out his drinks and busting our butts, but we pulled out that 12-9 victory. I was gassed, but major props to Sweet Meat for scoring, I think, 3 third period goals in the same shift, all back to back. So natural hat trick for Sweet Meat.
He had 6 total, right?
Yeah, he had 6 and 2 with 5 blocks, and I know he's still feeling one of those blocks. But 6 and 2, and 3 of them came in the third period, all in a row. And one of them, I think, ended up being the game winner because it put us in the lead for good. But how did your guys' games go? I'm looking at last week, and I'm seeing looks like maybe George, you played 8:30.
We did, yeah.
And it was an overtime win, right?
Yes, yeah. Brad finished it off again. I think he's had 3 goals now that have won games like in the last 5 seconds or at the buzzer or in overtime.
Wow.
So we've had some really close games. We've played well in those, some tight defense, and Brad's finished it off a few times. But I think it was a battle of first place. So it was an intense matchup. Both teams kind of played at a high pace, lots of forechecking. Furlano, I think, got 7 on us. And, they just played really well. Brad had finished it off at the end. Jeff's a rookie. He's got a great shot, kind of a howitzer when he gets that going. And, the rest of us kind of put it together, play some good defense. And, it was an intense, I'll say, scrappy matchup, but it was fun.
We were having a chat on the side. I don't know if anybody saw it in the Discord, but wondering about the league record for number of overtime games in a season. And I don't think we came up with an official stat, but whenever Jeremy drops a stat in the chats when there isn't one to be had, that is what becomes official record. And I think he said something like 5 was the record, and I think this season's up to 3 or 4. But this past week was also the first week where everybody played for the first time, getting back to the top of the schedule, so to speak. So back to playing teams that you played the first time around. And I think Fukushima themselves have been a part of 2 or more of those overtime games, because 1 was against us. So George, this last go around, when you played them, I can't remember how week 1 went, if you won or lost, but did you feel like things were different? Did you feel like things were more successful? Did you take notes the first time around and apply them to your talk for this past week? How did your team prepare for Fukushima?
Yeah, so we started the season 0-2. So we lost to them in week 1. I think that was the only week that Brad was out. And then we also lost in week 2. So we have gone on kind of a run since with a winning streak. And I think meeting them the second time, we're trying to do a little revenge tour here at the end of the season to win back some games that we lost early in the year. But, I think they have a certain profile of how they play. They kind of did that in week 1 and did that again in week 8. And they're just a good group of guys, play hard. I think we've learned a lot and played better over the weeks for sure. Getting on a little bit of run. So I think we've learned a little bit more about ourselves and what's necessary to win. So we're looking to kind of carry those adjustments into next week and keep a good thing going.
Awesome. Yeah. It's funny how teams like you either start hot out of the gate and then kind of settle into something, or sometimes teams will start slow and then they figure each other out. You settle in. But Ellen, did you get a chance to catch any of that game before? I know you played 9:30, so were you there
Yeah,
for the 8:30?
as a spectator, that was a great game to watch. As like a player playing 9:30, I was like hoping that the game wouldn't go into overtime. I was like, but it was such a close game that you didn't know. So yeah, it was an awesome game to watch, and I definitely look forward to watching that team again next week.
What did you see? Since it sounds like, because George, you said you lost to them first week and then they pulled out the overtime win. So Ellen, what did you see? What do you think, if you had to put it into terms of like one thing, what was the X factor that got Sinkhole the win against Fukushima that last week? What do you think it was?
Their just connection now is crazy. It's just crazy. They just know where each other's gonna be, and they know the passes and how to get through. Like from the beginning of the season to now, it's been crazy to see their connection and how much they've moved towards winning. And it's been awesome. So I think that team has definitely took a whole 180 since the beginning of the season.
Credit to Alex too. He's been great. When you look at
sure.
his stats, I think he's tied for best save percentage, leads and wins. He's been great for us. We try to block some shots for him. So I just say we're a balanced team. You know, I think we have a couple guys that can shoot, and we've got some good defense. And you know, even Lally, who is our last round pick, is a great steady player. He steps up week in, week out for us.
Yeah, he went 1-1 for you guys last week, and I see that Maston got blanked, and that's kind of getting more and more rare these days to see Maston getting blanked, because I think just a couple weeks ago he lit up to the tune of like 3 or 4 in a game. I think I was broadcasting that game, and he just was like ripping shots, and they were just all finding the net. He was just on fire that night. So your team, I if I had to say anything, I didn't get a chance to watch your game last week. I did watch it on YouTube after and try to get the highlights a little bit. But if I had to put it down to one thing, I think you kind of already said to it a little bit, George, that you're getting kind of top to bottom contributions, even if they're not stat sheet contributions.
Exactly.
So, and I've always been a big fan of like, look, everybody likes seeing the stats. But there's so many things that don't show up on stats that end up really making a big play in the game. Actually, one of the ones that I always kind of argue for a little bit is I've noticed that anytime someone gets a block shot just by getting their stick in there and disrupting, or getting a stick in front of a shot instead of a body, that we're not necessarily seeing those recorded as blocked shots on the stats. But there's so many players in this league who are good at the last second getting that extra little reach in there and disrupting that shot. Ellen, you're one of them. I mean, I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, if not multiple seasons, but at least a couple of weeks on the podcast, that you're like one of the most like tenacious battlers in the league. What's
Thank you.
Well, let me ask you. So like, what is your mindset when like you see, like, listen, I'll throw myself under the bus here. You have stolen the puck from me way more often than I care to admit. And all of a sudden there's just this, like, no offense, this tiny little like Spitfire right next to me. So I'm 6'3", 230 pounds. What is going through your head where you're just like going in there like gung ho, like, I don't care, I'm just going to go right at this? Like, what's your mindset?
I just feel like every week I have to prove to you guys that like I deserve to be here, and prove to myself that I can like hang with the guys that are a good foot taller than me. So it's a lot of fun. I've grown up playing with my brothers playing hockey, so it's just normal for me now. And so each week is just more and more fun, because now I get to know the players more. That I've been here a couple of seasons now. So you guys are just all awesome guys, and I'm just thankful that you invite girls to be a part of the league too. I definitely, when I first started, my brother started before me because I didn't know that girls were allowed. So once I heard that, like, yeah, like we've had them in the past, we just don't have them now, but you can join. Like that was such an awesome feeling. So yeah, I just feel like I just have to prove to myself and to the league that, hey, I'm here to play, and I can be a good contributor to my team. It might not like count towards like the stat sheet, but it definitely can count towards the overall game and the overall season.
Well, don't don't sell yourself short, because I see that you got a goal this past week. But I know I can speak for everybody by saying that you don't have to prove anything to me, and I'm pretty sure you don't have to prove anything. George, how many times she taken the puck from you? I
Oh,
know this.
everybody takes the puck from me. She just takes it more often. Yeah, I would say like your spacing's great. Like that's the one thing when I watch Ellen play. She's never in a bad position. She's always positioned well on the court, and that's some of the stuff that you were talking about too, of like the things that don't go noticed on the stat sheet, where she may force. She's in a lane, so she forces like a B or C pass instead of the A pass, and that stuff doesn't show up on the sheet, but it makes an impact on the game.
Oh, I like the way you put that. Your secondary reads, like a quarterback having to go through your extra reads. So Ellen, tell me about Storm Surge, Le Tremblement, 9:30. Played a little late because of the overtime game. RFHL After Dark. How did it go last week?
9:30 games. They're always rough. You never want to have it, but especially since we're now like repeating from week 1, we knew what we were up against, and we were just excited to play them again because I was playing against my brother, and then I was playing against my coworker / boss. So it was a lot of fun. We knew we were down a player, and we've been down, I feel like, a player or two ever since the beginning of the season. I don't think we've played with a full team yet, maybe 1 week. So we were just excited to get out there. We know what it's like to only have 2 subs on the bench, so we know that we need to push harder when we're out on the floor and give it our all. And then it was just, we communicated great. We talked right before the game. We talked in between periods, and we just had a really good flow, and we just kept it through the whole game. And so I was very excited for our team to see what the outcome was.
Tell me about your goal you scored.
Oh my
God!
happened?
How'd it happen?
I don't know. Foes was setting me up all night. He was like, "We are gonna get you one," and I felt so bad because I missed a couple in the beginning. I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And he's like, no, like you are there. Just wait and you're going to get it. So when it happened, I definitely felt like I cheered too much. And I was like, oh no, I got embarrassed afterwards. But it felt good because we had played Kaz the week before because he then was subbing this past week. And so I could not get it past him last week. So it felt so good to score on him for sure.
It's a sweet pass. So I statted your game. So I got to see it too.
Let's hear it, George. Let's hear about what you saw.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the 2 people that stood out to me, one on each side, was Glenn had a great game. I think he had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists, and like with your team, Ellen, like Foes and Tommy kind of know what you're going to get from them. But Jesse's really picked it up the last couple of weeks. I think he made it into like the clip reel on Discord for one of his moves, but just the way he can move the puck around and pass and set other people up. You guys are a powerhouse offensively.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Glenn, if I'm making correct note here, I think he's having like a career season right now. He's leading his team in goals. And I think if you sort by points, I think he's like 3rd in total points. I know he's leading your team in goal, or his team in goals. He's got 11 on the season. He's 11-2, so he's got 13 points. And he is actually also leading the team in points too. So Glenn having a career season. But speaking of career seasons, I want to give last season Ellen a shout out because you played awesome last season, and I think your total stats that you'd had before that season, I think you doubled them in every category by the end of that one season, just last season. And George said it earlier too, that you're in the right spaces. And I remember that was something, like, I remember one time you came up to me, you were like really tired and maybe a little bit frustrated. And you were like, what do I have to do? And I just said, keep driving like you're driving the net well, just keep going to those spaces, because a lot of like the puck luck that ends up kind of helping you get those, goals and those chances, it happens just because you're doing the right things at the right times, and eventually play will line up with where you're going. So, but you've really come on strong over the last couple seasons too. And this season, how many are you up to right now, Ellen? How many goals you got? 4 on the 4 for stats, it says here. So 4 and 3. So it looks like you guys enjoyed a really good win this past week. What did you guys double them up? 14-8, almost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big win. But so moving right along here, I wanted to talk a little bit about, because obviously the seasons we're back to the start. You played the week 1 teams again last week. We're playing week 2 teams again this week. But now that you've played a couple seasons, both of you guys are a little bit newer to the league. Tell me a little bit about how you guys got into the league. I know Ellen just kind of did a little bit. How'd you get into the league? And then like so far, like how you feeling about it? Ellen, why don't you start, since you already kind of told us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I started working at the town of Gates in the recreation department, and Dan Hook is actually the director over there. So he started talking about this league that he was in called RFHL. And so he knew that my brothers had played hockey when they were younger, and especially Paul has been like through it with high school and stuff like that, and he wanted to continue in it. And so Dan was like, well, a great way to get into the league, we're doing this like Westgate summer hockey, but you should definitely play. And so Paul and Glenn jumped in that first season, and they really enjoyed it. And me and my parents went every week and watched them, and I was so excited. I was like, this is so cool. But I had never like brought up that like, hey, I played hockey too, and like it would be awesome to play. And so then we skipped that first indoor season, I think that fall season. And then I actually played the Westgate Winterfest. That was awesome. The first season I played, I actually won the cup, which was so cool. And so after that, then that spring season, Paul and I decided to jump in for indoor at the school. And so we played that first season, and I was like hooked from the start. We were so excited. It was a big rookie year that season. So I think it was me, Paul, and maybe like 2 or 3 other rookies. So it was nice that we all got to play in the rookie game and just to see it from the start. And then we played again that summer. And then Glenn ended up jumping in for indoor that fall. So it's been a family thing ever since. And we wouldn't have it any other way. So it was really cool, the connection, because we had never heard about it. And so to think that now we feel like we know everybody and you guys are all family, and we just started a couple of years ago.
Over the last couple of weeks, others who have joined the podcast have told their stories, and the common denominator, and George, you were alluding to this when we were talking pre-show a little bit about the flow of things. The common denominator seems to be that there's always some like random connection or crossing paths with somebody who's in the league who mentions it, and then you just like, as a rookie, of course, now it's tough to get in as a rookie, except, this season right now, we have a handful, but most seasons you might get one rookie spot, if that. So it's tough to get in. So then you spend a couple seasons wanting to get in. So George, what was your random connection or way to get into the league? How did you find out? You're commuting a little ways.
I am.
And we'll get into that in a little bit, but how did you get into the league here?
Yeah, so I actually found it online. I don't know if it was the old website or through Facebook. So so for the guys that don't know, I drive in from the west side of Syracuse, so it's about an hour and 15 minutes. Pre-COVID, they used to have a league here in the Y in Syracuse. It was pickup. We used to show up Saturday mornings at 7 and just throw sticks and play. And COVID kind of put an end to that, and it was just very loosely organized. So after having some kids, and I used to do tennis and really haven't gotten back into that, I was looking for something to just get out. And I always loved floor hockey. It was always my favorite thing to do. Did a ton of street hockey growing up as a kid, and found the league online and shot a message. And, at the time I was like, hey, if you ever need a sub, I'm happy to do it. Not knowing like how the mechanics work and how that's never going to happen. So I ended up getting in the summer league. I think summer 23. Was the league. I think 5 rookies were part of that. So it was like the Crosby, Cody, me, and then ended up getting in that fall into Steely Dangles and kind of the music year. And I'm hooked. I was hooked. I knew it immediately. I've always said this to just the commissioners and the circle of jerks and all that stuff, of just how organized everything is. It's to a T. It's exactly the reason the league in Syracuse kind of fell apart and couldn't continue, because we were showing up on Saturday mornings and we'd be throwing a floor mat over one of the nets because our goalie decided not to show up or drank too much the night before. So yeah, that's how how I found it, just online, just looking, and I found, and I'm like, it's not that far of a drive. I'll do it once a week, get away from the fam, and here I am.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the like the organization of it too, because I know it's something that comes up on pretty much almost the weekly podcast at this point, that we talk about how it seems really organized because it is, but it's not a lot of work. And maybe from the outside perspective, it looks like a lot of work. And that's not, don't get me wrong. Like, don't make me downplay. I'm not downplaying the work that goes into it. But what I mean is that it's when you're doing something you have a lot of fun with, and everybody is encouraged to be involved. And here we are, podcast week 9, trying to get, like new fresh faces on every episode. There's stats, there's reffing, there's broadcasting, there's all these different ways that you can get involved in just a little bit. And then when you're doing something you really enjoy, when you really are doing something you love and have fun with, and you're around people you enjoy, it's not work anymore, right? It's work, but it isn't. You're not working, you're having fun, and you just happen to be accomplishing things at the same time.
Yeah.
But hey, I couldn't help but notice that you said you were coming in from the Syracuse area.
I am thrashing the throughway.
Do you happen to know what's happening Friday night at the Blue Cross Arena?
I do.
And who are you rooting for?
Yeah, so Syracuse Crunch. Yeah, so they are the team here that Syracuse supports in the AHL. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting series.
Ellen audibly gasped. If
I'm
you
in
didn't hear
shock.
that. All right, Ellen, give them your best trash talk for Friday night. I'm going to be there. You're going to be there, right?
I'm gonna be there, and it's
George,
gonna
are
be
you
a-
going?
it's
Now
gonna
I
be
feel
great.
like you should go. We got to get you.
I'm only allowed out to Rochester once a week.
All right, Ellen, give them your best trash talk. Amherst are going to take down Syracuse, best of 5 series. They're going to take them down, right? So give them your best trash talk. Let them
They
down
will.
easy now.
And I don't know how to trash talk, so I'll just say that it's gonna be a great game, and we're gonna take it the first game for sure.
George, what's the scouting report on the Crunch for all those Amherst that are going to be watching this?
Yeah, I know. My days of watching Crunch were a lot more without 2 kids, but I think they're pretty close in the standings for what that's worth. But Syracuse basketball, not good. Syracuse football had a better year. I feel like we're due. I feel like the hockey team's going to come through for us.
I think, was it Syracuse that knocked out Rochester last season? Or was it, or did we get past? No, we got past Syracuse in what was it, either game 5 or game 7 in Syracuse, and we won. But then I think we lost the next round to like Laval. But yeah, the Amherst Crunch series, we were talking about this pre-show also. So don't let me fool anybody into thinking that this was surprise knowledge that just appeared live on the podcast. We were talking about this beforehand a little bit, and I was talking to George about how I remember the old Syracuse Crunch Amherst games, even just the regular season games, and they still are. They're still very, like, obviously there's that rivalry. You're only an hour and a half apart, but I remember the, like, maybe the early 2000s or even late 90s Crunch Amherst games being just like almost all out brawls, like every week or every time they played, and it was just like they were awesome, hard fought, gritty hockey games. So I'm looking forward to it. If you haven't gotten a chance to ever get out to an Amherst playoff game, it's an entirely different atmosphere. It's so much fun. In fact, my brother and I last season, when the Amherst went to Syracuse to have to win that pivotal final game 5, we contemplated getting tickets and then ended up not being able to. Both of us, 2 kids, you know how it goes. But Ellen, you said you're going to be there Friday night?
We will be there. Road 207 or section 207.
All of you going to be there?
I don't think my dad will be there, but the original 4 of us, Mom, Glenn, Paul, and me, will be there cheering them on.
I know that you guys usually come in a pretty strong contingent to the hockey games. So everybody else in the chat, and when you're watching this, hey, drop a comment. Are you going to be at the Amherst game Friday night? If so, we'll do an RFHL meetup or something like that. But drop a comment in the chat and in the on the video if you're going to be there Friday night for the opening of Rochester Amerks playoff hockey. So speaking of playoffs, I wanted to ask both of you. So you both been in the season in the league a couple seasons now. So I want to ask you about. We're not doing a full playoff preview, but I'm curious about like some of your favorite, as we're ramping up towards playoffs, some of your favorite playoff memories or teams you've played on that in your career so far with RFHL that have left an impression on you, maybe good, maybe bad, but your playoff memories of RFHL. Ellen, what playoff memories do you have?
I think good and bad would have to be my first season indoor. We went all the way to the finals, which was amazing. It was me and one other rookie, and I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is happening. This is great." And then we ended up losing by 3 in the final game, and that hurt. You're just like, "Oh man, I thought we could go all the way." And like I had a great team, great bunch of guys, and then to lose in that last period, we're like, "Oh." That crushed hard. So that definitely has to be like the most memorable season, and I've just been trying to get my way back to the finals each season after that.
Which team was that again? Do you remember?
I think it was the Panama City.
Oh, okay. Yeah, spring break season, I think.
Yeah. It was spring break season.
That's right.
I think there was KJ, Sweet, Goalie Foes, Dave King, and then maybe Nick. That could have been it. Maybe somebody else, but yeah, that was
pretty good team too.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's tough to get that close and not win it.
Yes.
And have you won one yet? Do you have a cup yet?
Not yet. No. I've been to the finals twice now, and I can feel it. I can almost touch it, but not there yet. So.
Don't touch it. Bad luck. Don't touch it.
I know.
Don't touch the cup.
I learned that very early on. I'm not allowed to touch it.
All right. Yeah, I won't jump George too much, but I will say last season, Ellen, you, Glenn, Paul, so all of you on the same team, and then Conco, me, and Fish. And something about last season that it might be my favorite team I've ever played on that didn't win the cup, but like it was something about our team just felt like it should have gone. And then this guy over here, George, his team had to go on it. George, what's your favorite? Go on. What's your favorite?
Interestingly, that's probably it. It was the first team I've ever captained, and we had a tough season. I think we finished 7th, and we just couldn't get into a rhythm. We had a lot of chances every game. We just couldn't score goals, and it was a battle. And we probably only played a few good games all year, complete games, one of which was against you guys, where we just battled. I think we kind of dumped and chased for a lot of the game, and you had puck control for the entire, most of the game, the majority of it. But we're able to squeak that one out. It was a sweet victory, just with me being a captain and picking the entire team and just having a really rough year. And getting a playoff win when we weren't expected to as the 7th seed. I think you guys were the number 2 seed. Yeah, so that was definitely the sweetest win I've had. I think the most disappointing one might be on the flip side with you two, when that was my first season with Steely Dangles, where we were the best record. We were the 1 seed. And I think you knocked us out that year.
Pim Shady.
Yeah, you knocked us out either in the first round or the semis, maybe. And that was the
first season I was playing with Kazmark. In what started to be, it ended up being like 4 straight seasons in a row that Kaz and I were on the same team. Yeah, I remember that now.
We had a good team. I mean, it was my first year, so I didn't really know the landscape. But we had Furlano, Bill Smith, Fish and Chips, me, Ziegler was our goalie. Kurt we had on D, and I think I can't remember the last one was, but we were a pretty good team top to bottom, and you guys knocked us out. So that was disappointing. Here I am, first season coming in. I'm like, we're in first place. We got a great crew, and you had something to say about that.
Yeah, it's a testament to the fact that we always joke about how every team makes the playoffs. Well, that's exactly why, because any given week, some team can figure it out or come up with the game plan or remember playing this team the first time this season and making some adjustments. It's a testament to that a little bit. George, have you ever been to the finals? Have you won one? I can't remember.
No.
Okay.
Squeaked out the Winter Classic, but that doesn't count. No, semis twice. Never been to a finals.
Ellen, not to twist the knife for George, but knowing that you've played in a finals, what if you could put it into words what it's like to play in a finals, in an RFHL spring or fall final, and just that feeling of like being there, the gym is full, the energy is like way up because there's like a ton of crowd on the stage. What's that feel like? How did you like feel playing in that game?
Well, see, the first season was overwhelming. I was like, oh, I'm not cut out for this. And then the second time I got there, I was like, okay, like I know what to expect. This is so exciting. Like we made it. You've been playing with these guys all season, so you're like, we've got this. We're gonna work together. It's just such an exciting feeling to know that all your hard work is paying off and you got to that final game. It's so much fun. There's no other week like it. Like you can have great weeks in the beginning of the season. You feel like you played your best, but like that's just a different feeling. Like everyone makes the playoffs, but only 2 teams make that final game. And everybody is there to watch too. The game is so different with so many fans and they're just cheering everybody on. Like it's so electric and so exciting and so fun. And you just always want to go back to that finals because you want that experience again.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. It's funny because any of the playoff games, even the first round of playoffs, have a different energy to them.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. There's something about the finals, and everybody's on the stage, and most people are on the stage to banter you. They're there to give you a hard time. They're not rooting. They might be rooting for one team a little bit, but they're just there to give everyone a hard time. And I think that's actually one of my favorite things. Is just hearing like the banter that's coming from the stage when somebody takes a shot and misses the net and everyone's like, why don't you hit the net? And they're just shouting stuff at you. And it does make me want to say that, like, I know it's tough in the middle of the season. Everybody's got schedules and families and work and all sorts of stuff, but it is so much more. It's that little bit of element like we were talking about earlier, where the league has all these things going on. We've got broadcast teams, we've got stats, we've got all these people who are a part of making this feel really awesome. And that one little extra thing that I wish we could have on a weekly basis would be simply just more people on the stage. And like I said, I know it's tough, but whenever I can watch a game from the stage or get up there, I do love to like kind of, especially Brett. I'm going to shout him out whenever he's in net right in front of me. The poor guy, I probably just dismantle him. Maybe he doesn't even hear me, but I'm just sitting there the whole game, just giving him the business. So, but like, even when you're hearing, like, Ellen, you're probably one of the loudest voices when I hear anyone make a big save.
For sure.
You never are cheering for like one person more than the other. You're just out there like yelling like, great save, Brandon, good save. You could be playing against Alex and be yelling at him for having a good save.
I think my teammates hate me this season because I'll be on the bench saying, oh, great blocker, oh, good saver, nice shot. And they're like, no, wait, no.
I don't know who you're rooting for ever. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
No.
but it's such a fun experience to be on the stage and be able, because I stat a bunch of the games too, and just to be able to see certain plays live, like I feel like that's so different from seeing it on a stream. It's like you should have been there, like that was a crazy save, or oh, you should have seen that shot right through yeah, it's such a different experience, and so you want other people to be there with you and experience, and you'd be like, you saw that too, right?
Have either of you guys tried broadcasting or color commentary yet?
No, dipping my toe in his stats this season for
Just
the first
stats.
time.
Okay. I feel like both of you would really be good at that. You should consider it. Even if you want to dip your toe in by doing color first, like color commentary is just kind of sprinkling in your thoughts here and there and responding to like big plays and stuff. But I feel like both of you guys would be really good at that. George, you're a big stats guy. I heard you say you drop stats, and I know we're getting closer to time, so we'll start doing some previews in a second. But real quick, so a couple of seasons back, you and I messaged back and forth a little bit. We were joking about some RFHL fancy stats. Have you thought any more about that? I know you're a big stats guy.
Yeah, a lot of I've seen some new evolutions in the stat sheets just from things that we've either chatted about or people have integrated. Just some of like the goal to assist ratios that are going into some of the team stats that we're logging. So it's broadened up. I don't know if that's been done in the past or not, but some of the side track stats that I was tracking for a while, I've seen some of those make their way into there. Third period goals. We've been tracking that for a while, but that was kind of always interesting to me, like clutch goals, clutch factor, clutch metrics that we could figure out in terms of like, game within 2 goals and you score, things like that.
Yeah.
I've always got my mind racing in terms of stats. Like I always feel like it's a lot to track, but plus minus, I think, would tell a whole new story from some of the people that don't always show up in goals and assists. Just being on the court sometimes when your team scores a goal, I think that would be a pretty cool eye-opening stat. It's a lot to keep track of. Like I can't even keep track of the goals, let alone the assists half the time. Ellen knows that. So to then get all 3 players who are on the court, it's challenging. I get it. But now with everything being recorded, maybe there's another look there.
Well, I will tell you a little insider secret. Insider being just in the Firestorms team chat. Sweet and I were toying around with talking about plus minus, and now that the games are all streamed and on YouTube, which I think is a little bit more of a friendly platform for rewatch, we were toying around with tracking plus minus for just our games for the first couple of weeks. So it would be our players and the team we were playing against, and we would do plus minus. And it wasn't as hard as you think. It made it easier when the people doing the broadcast were keeping up with the score bug, because then you could just fast forward until you saw the score bug change and then rewind until the goal happened and then just make note of who was on the court. So it wasn't that difficult, and it wasn't even as tedious as you think. It would just, I guess the only thing that would make it more tedious would be doing it for all 4 games every night. But it wasn't too bad. One of the other low-hanging fruit stats that I've been thinking would be fun to track sometime, and you are experiencing it firsthand with one of your guys on your team, would be simply game-winning goals. Who had the game-winning goal? It's as simple as just taking note of who scored last for the team that takes the lead. And that can sometimes be a little tricky, because if you get a game that's like 14-8, but the team that scored 14 got them all in the second period, then you got to go all the way back to the second period and look at like, okay, they pulled out to like a 14-3 lead. So who scored that 9th goal? That's the game winner. But it would be kind of fun to see, because then you could start looking at that clutch factor you were talking about, maybe, or something like that. So
agreed.
So let's get into some previews. We've got week 9 coming up, and I'm just going to list off the games, and then I'm going to maybe ask you guys for some predictions. I think predictions has become a weekly requirement for this. You're going to have to put a little target on your own back. I'm going to force you to make a prediction and make a choice, and then you're going to hear about it in the Discord after. Speaking of which, if you're not in the Discord yet, give it a join. It's an awesome place. Lots of chats happening, lots of cool channels to get involved with. But I also want to throw it out to any of the people watching too. Put your predictions in the comments. I know I told you to comment earlier, but comment again. What's your predictions for the week? So 6:30, we've got Tipsy Talking Twisters playing my Firestorm, not mine, Bill's, Firestorms Hockey Club. 7:30, we've got Les Tremblements playing Sinkhole Sidewinders. At 8:30, we've got Tsunami Tacticians playing Storm Surge. Ellen's got her hands up. Sometimes I think they can only see if you talk. So.
Oh, no.
There you go. And at 9:30, we've got Meteor Mayhem and Fukushima Face Off. There's some really good matchups this week. So let's start with the 6:30 matchup. Tipsy Talking Twisters, Firestorm Hockey Club. Ellen, what do you think each team has to do to win, and who do you think is going to come out on top?
Ooh, well, you know who I'm rooting for, because I got to keep it in the family. So I'm definitely rooting for my brother Paul and 2 here with the Firestorm Hockey Club. But what do you guys have to do? Gray has been killing it this season with just their movement around the floor all season. So you guys just need to continue to do that and just stay on your guy. And then you guys have been connecting great, especially last week's game was so awesome to watch. especially that third period with you just having 4 people. I didn't realize that until I think the end of the game that you just had 4 players. It's like, wow, they're killing it. And so just you guys continue what you're doing, and I think you'll pull out that win with Bill as your captain.
Most weeks I don't. I like to think, even though I'm a large guy, I don't normally get like sore from running sore. I'm usually just sore from like block shots sore. But last week, it took me an extra day that normally I don't need to recover from that. So yeah, it was definitely tired. George, 6:30, Tipsy Talking Twisters, Firestorm Hockey Club. Who do you think's going to win? What do you think they got to do? What do you think each team has to do to win it?
Yeah, lots of block shots. I'll say that. I think they usually are the top 2 teams in terms of team block shots when I was looking through some of the stats there. I think the triple T's have the goalie advantage, but I like both team styles. I think you both play discipline. You both play puck control. I think with Shane coming in for Comco, you kind of can run the floor, set up some plays, make some nice passes. He's played with a few guys in the past on his other team. But I'll take Firestorms in a close one. But lots of block shots, lots of calculated plays. I think it'll be a good matchup.
Yeah, it's good to see Shane back. I'm looking forward to playing against him. Obviously, don't like the circumstances that made him have to get back into it, but it's been so great to see him get back to the RFHL, get involved after last season and what happened, and then being able to connect by doing some broadcasts, and now getting back out there and playing and looking great doing it. So super proud to see, super happy to see that he's out there. All right, 7:30, Le Tremblement, St. Cole Sidewinders. George, this is your game. This is a tough one, I think, at least in my book. This is one of the might be even my game of the week, because I think this is going to be kind of a low scoring, grinded out kind of game. But what do you guys have to do to win? Obviously, I think you're going to pick your own team. But what do you got to do to win? And what are you looking out for this week against Le Tremblement?
Yeah, I got to go with my team. We got to figure out Mark. We couldn't do that the first time around. We had a 4-2 lead going in the third period, and then gave up 4 unanswered in the third in the last game and lost 6-4. So it's still a pretty low scoring game. Dan was on the team back then. I know he's dealing with some stuff, so that's something to keep an eye on there. But yeah, I think we're a different team than we were in week 2 at the same time. I think we were starting to gel a little bit, so I'm excited. It'll be a good kind of direct comparison to see how much we've grown, I guess, since week 2 compared to week 9. So hopefully we can just get the puck by Mark, which is easier said than done. It's a challenge, and we couldn't figure it out. And we have both Brad and Jeff, our 2 shooters in the last game, but that's kind of what we need to do. I think it'll probably be a very similar game to the time it was last time, 10 or less goals, somewhere in that range.
Ellen, Le Tremblement, St. Cole Sidewinders. Yeah. What do you think each team's got to do to win, and who do you think wins it?
Well, I gotta keep it in the family again, because me and my brothers are all split up this season, which we're not, like, it's weird because we're always together. But I'm thinking, sorry, George, I'm thinking Glenn's team is gonna take it, but the Purple's gonna have to just block Brad and Jeff. Their shots they can do it from full court. Like, it's crazy, and they can get through everybody, possibly even Mark. We will see Wednesday night, but it's going to be like you said too, it's going to be the game of the night. I think both teams have played great this whole season. They have come together as a team. We're not sure if Hook's going to have a sub. I know he didn't have a sub for us last week, but he had a sub the week before, so that could change up the whole dynamic of their team also. So it's going to be a great game to watch, but there's going to be a lot of block shots, and I think a lot of shots from half court, even farther.
That's a good analysis. I got to say, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of what St. Cole has to do. I think St. Cole's going to have to really lean into their top snipers to figure out Mark. George kind of said it himself. We got to figure out Mark, right? Well, you've got probably 2 of the best shots in the league with Brad and Jeff, and they're both the type who can really pick their spots too. So I think when you get guys like that, and you create for them in order to finish, that's going to be, I think, maybe Sinkhole's key to this one. And with Le Tremblement, I think with them, they've got to keep up the pace a little bit. One of the things that I've noticed with them is early in the season, they struck me as a quick but reserved team. So they weren't necessarily looking to get a lot of shots. It wasn't a quantity game for them. But they were fast about doing whatever it was they were doing. They were fast about playing. They were fast about forechecking or battling for pucks or making the pass. And it feels like they've slowed things down a little bit. And part of that is the Dan effect. We all know Dan is like probably one of the, if not the most, like just endless engines in the league. But he's also a good finisher, like an underrated finisher at the net. So without Dan out there, I think Le Tremblement has done a good job of trying to adapt to those. I was going to say adopt a new game style and then adapt to the game style they need to play now. But they've done a good job of it. But I'd like to see them get back to a little bit of that quickness. I think that might be what could help them win this game. If I had to make my prediction for this one, and I'm sorry to say it, I actually think this game's going to go to overtime. And I think Brad's going to do it again. So my prediction is an overtime winner from Brad and a sinkhole win against Le Tremblement. And I also think you're going to get one of those classic Alex games where maybe he gets scored on a couple times early, but then settles in because the shots keep coming, but they feel the same. And then so he gets into that rhythm. And once he gets into that rhythm, this is what happened to us last season, George, when you guys beat us in the playoffs. Alex had a classic Alex game. We got a couple of them on him, and then he settled in, and we weren't able to get different looks. So he knew what to expect. And once he gets into that mode, he's top tier. He's great. So I'm predicting a sinkhole overtime winner from Mr. Clutch himself.
Brad, a lot of that this year for sure.
Yeah, I've seen the game-winning goal strat, right? So
that would not be a surprise if it goes into overtime. It's gonna be a great game to watch.
I just something screams overtime game to me there. So, all right, 8:30. Tsunami Tacticians, Storm Surge. Ellen, it's your team. I know you're not picking against yourself, but what do you guys have to do to win this game? And what do you have to look out for from Tsunami that they're going to do in order to win this game?
Yeah, we will not talk about the last time we played them, and we are just going to focus on this week, and we're hoping that everyone will be here, and if we all are, then we're going to have that third man on the bench, and we're going to have that much more energy to go out there and just kill it. Like I'm very excited to see how far our team has come since the beginning of the season, and just hope, fingers crossed, hopefully we will all be here, and I'm excited. We just need to they have, and I've said this all season, they have legs. They just run circles. So we need to stay on those. We need to stay on them. If we can't stay right on them, then we need to block their passing lanes. And we just need to get them to pass and have that, like George was saying earlier, have that second or third player shoot and not their first aim. Because if we can block that, then we can get lucky and grab that puck and go down. But we need to slow it down on our end because we know that we don't have the legs and we know what our strengths are, and we need to communicate and work together as a team and even talk between those little moments where it's between the periods right before the game, being like, hey, I'm seeing this, or hey, I'm seeing this. Those are where our key moments happen, just in the middle of the game, because we could say one thing before the game even starts and realize that, oh, actually, wait, that's not working. We need to change it up, and that's when it feels like it clicks. And if we start out strong, we can take it all the way. So I'm very excited for a rematch, and we'll see how it goes.
George, what do you think they've got to do to win? And then what do you think Tsunami's got to do to win this one? And then who do you think is going to win it?
Yeah, high scoring. Was this the game that set the record for goals?
I think Ellen was trying to avoid talking about that.
Have to talk about that.
We don't talk about Bruno.
No, and that
Bruno game.
Bruno.
Yeah, so high scoring. I mean, I like both teams. It should certainly be exciting. I hope I'm not statting that game because I will not be able to keep track of all of the action going on. But yeah, two great teams, both kind of similarly built, kind of, I think, high-end offense. So I think it's going to come down to just what team can back check a little bit better and be smarter on defense to prevent the offense in the other direction. So with that being said, to me, it's kind of a bit of a coin toss. But I'm going to go with Storm Surge on this one. I sat at their game last week. Kind of liked what I saw as Jesse is kind of like a third option there, and you guys seem to be gelling a little bit. So I'm kind of picking you to pull this one out and probably a combined 20, 25 goals, if not more.
Okay. Another high scoring affair. It's funny because I was talking about that game, the game we don't talk about, the game that must not be named, at least for Ellen.
Thank you.
I was talking about that, and one of the things that I was making note of from the first time around was that even though it was high scoring for both teams, I thought Tim played a relatively solid game in net. Like he seemed pretty steady throughout, even though he let in I don't even remember what the final score for you guys was, Alan, but he let in a handful, and he still looked very steady and solid and a little bit more kind of confident, if you will, throughout the game. So if I had to pick what I think Tsunami's got to do to win this one, is they've got to know what Storm Surge is bringing. And what I mean by that is we know that, Fos is going to be Fos, and he's going to take his shots. And I think Tsunami did a good job of this last time of predicting and recognizing that Fos is going to be the shooter as much as he can. But lately, I've been noticing the same thing you said earlier, Ellen. Fos has been a playmaker. He's been setting you up. He's been setting other people up a little bit more. And I think that actually is a big benefit to you and your team going forward, is being a little less predictable, if you will. But if I had to say something, and I'm not afraid to say it because I know he knows I'm a friend and I'm a fellow former reformed goalie myself. My key for Storm Surge, I'm gonna call him out for you a little bit here. Brandon, you need to focus, buddy. And I just mean in the best sense, lock it down. I don't think about the last time you guys played against each other, but if Brandon can find the energy and find the drive to keep giving to his team, you guys are a team that I know will, and you already do, but I know that you will see that and you will give him even more, and you'll feed off of that. So I am calling out / encouraging / lighting a fire under Brandon's butt to get his game dialed in, locked in, put it all behind you. A new season starts today type of mindset, and get out there and play 3 periods of solid, focused goaltending. And I know if he does that, I think Storm Surge wins this one. Right now, I'm going to stick with my prediction that I was originally going to say, which is I think Tsunami wins, but it's a closer game than the last time around. But if Brandon locks it down, if he, like I said, if he gives you 45 minutes end to end of the kind of game I know he can play, Storm Surge will win this one. I know they will. I know you guys will. So 9:30, Meteor Mayhem, Fukushima face-off. Ellen, what do you think happens in this one? Who wins? Why do they win? What do each team got to do here?
This is a tough game. This is going to be a fun one to watch. I'm rooting for Meteor Mayhem. I think they can pull it out. It's going to be a close game, so they're probably going to maybe take the lead in the third and then just hold them off at the end. But Fukushima, they are a tough team. They grind until the end. Even if they are up by 5, they are going to go until that buzzer because they don't want to even get close. So Meteor Mayhem is going to have to I don't even know how to word it. They just have to keep up the momentum and keep up that drive, because we know that Fukushima is not going to stop. They're going to go right into the end. So give that puck to Paul, have him take as many shots as he needs to, and then also get up towards close to the net. because that's the only way that you're going to get through red, because red's then going to slam right back down and get right into their net and go for it. So it's going to be a great game to watch. I hope to maybe stop that one. I would never ref any games. I'm not ready yet, but but that would be a fun one. Definitely there's going to be a lot of block shots. We know whoever plays against Paul there's one person on the team that's going to block half of those shots, but that's going to be an interesting game. And we'll see who takes it, but I think Meteor Mayhem is going to come out.
Okay, Meteor. All right, George, what do you think?
Two really like similar teams when I look at the makeups, right? You got your high-end scorers. They score a lot of goals. They score a little differently with Paul in from the point. He rushes though too. Fulano's all over. Goalies in round two. Two steady D guys with Dr. K and King in round three. The captains both in round five. They're kind of a very, very similar structure. We've seen Fukushima. We've played them twice. I've seen them, and I like the style of their play. I think they'll squeeze this one out. It'll be a close game, but I give them the edge just a tiny bit, just with some of the depth of their lineup.
Yeah, that's you said it really well when you said these guys both teams are pretty similar in their own way. I think if I had to pick my key to victory for Meteor, it's similar to what I just said with Storm, which is they've got a guy who's their known shooter, who's obviously, even when you know it's coming, is still capable of winning a game by doing it. But I think if Meteor can be just a little less predictable in this one, that might be beneficial to them, because one of the things I've noted against Fukushima is that they play super gritty and with a lot of energy and a lot of like forecheck and speed and all of that. But sometimes there's just glimpses. It's not all game, and it's not even enough to lose a game, but there's glimpses of times where they look a little like, I don't want to say lost, like a little confused. Like all of a sudden something got like thrown off, or they've lost a man and now they're kind of trying to reorganize and get back into place. And a team like Meteor could take advantage of that very well. They're set up they got a lot of hockey sense and a lot of familiarity on that team. So if they can recognize those little cracks in Fukushima's game, they can take advantage of it. And on the flip side of the coin, I think Fukushima is set up to pretty much beat any team in this league with the combination of their goaltending and their top to bottom, grind, kind of wear you down type of play. They can beat anyone. And it's my belief, I think I said even at the very beginning of the season, it's my belief that they should be one of the teams to really worry about making to the finals. But they're also looking like a team that could be the President Trophy winner. And of course, there's, I think, a really tight squeeze at the top for the top three teams right now, 2 weeks to play, and all very pivotal matchups coming down to the end. And with Furlano and some of the other guys, Dr. K, those are the types of guys who are aware of that too. And they want it and they fight for it. And they love to, try to get those under their belt as well. So I got to think they're going to come out pretty hard. I think they're going to be able to adjust if needed, but they're going to come out with a game plan to combat the predictive type of play that Meteor will have. So if Meteor doesn't switch things up a little bit, they might find themselves in a little bit of a tougher game than they want to be in. If I had to pick the winner of this one right now, I think I'm going to go with Fukushima. I think I picked Fukushima the first time around these two teams played, and I think maybe Meteor might have won that game, and it was a close one. But I think this is another game that could go to overtime, and nobody wants to hear overtime for the 9:30 game, but it really feels like it could be. So we'll see. So that does it for the predictions this week. It's going to be a good week of hockey, just like every single week. If you haven't checked it out on YouTube yet, make sure you do. If you haven't left a comment, like I said, let's hear your predictions in the chat. I want to hear what you guys think about how the games are going to go this week. So closing thoughts, George, what do you got? What, any closing thoughts, anything at all, even the most random thing you can think of? Go ahead and say it. You get 30 seconds or so. It's all yours here.
Every game's a coin toss, I feel like. Every team is so well balanced, and I know it's structured that way in the draft, but going to a point you said before, it's like any given Wednesday, any team can win. It comes down to sometimes just a couple plays, which makes it fun. You always have a chance.
Yeah, I like that. It is. And I think this week is emblematic of it, but even every week feels like you could almost coin toss every game. So Ellen, final thoughts. What do you got?
Well, first I want to say thanks for inviting me on the pod tonight. This has been so much fun. But I'm just so excited for this week. We saw last week what these games mean when we've already played them once, and now we're towards the end of the season. We get to play them again. So like George said, it's going to be a toss-up, and we have players from first round down to seventh round. They can all make plays. They can all be that clinch and be that game-winning goal. And so it's going to be really awesome to see. I'm so excited to see what Glenn does, because he has been killing it this season. So I'm ready to see him make some more incredible goals. Paul, his blocking this season, I don't know how he does it. So that'll be so fun to watch. And I'm excited to see everyone fill in their role, that they now know what their strengths are, and as a team, and to come out and be like, hey, we played them before. We know what we have to do to change it up, and to see from there. So I'm excited to see it live. So yes, if you guys can come watch it live, come on the stage, hang out with us, cheer everybody on. But if you can't, just definitely jump on that stream, listen to the broadcast. The guys do an awesome job, and it's so fun. So we're excited. Is it Wednesday yet?
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you both for joining. It was so much fun. And the only other thing I want to mention is keep a lookout soon for the post and email regarding end of season awards and nominations. In fact, if you really want to, that could be a comment you leave too on the YouTube page or on the post when this comes out. Leave your comment with some nominations as well, but keep a lookout for that. That's coming soon. Ellen, do you want to do that again? You want to lead us out of here? You got to end it with the good old saying. What do you got?
Sure. Is it Wednesday yet?